everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I want to talk, I just picked 3 random food storage items. It's not like you've never heard about these items before, but 2 of them I picked, I realized is something I often forget to mention because they both have to do with grains. And for whatever reason, even though I stock a lot of these items, they're not at the top of my brain when I'm talking about grains. When I'm talking about grains on the brains, I'm usually thinking of wheat berries that I'm going to grind into flour. That's usually what I'm thinking about, and rice, those kind of things. But I forget about the popcorn, which is a super important item in our food storage. So what I'm going to do for those people who are watching live and are in the chat, or if you watch this later, go ahead and put these in your thoughts and comments down below. When I go over these items, share with me if you're stocking these items, what are your reasons? Because I think these items all have multi-purpose. So yeah, the popcorn. So first of all, we love popcorn around here with lots of butter. Sometimes I'll basically powder up some fresh, not the kind you buy in the store or in the little shaker container, but the organic kind I get by the brick from Azure Standard. Powder that up rather fine, and then I'll put that on my popcorn. Sometimes I'll use nutritional yeast and salt. Patrick's favorite thing is butter with my homemade seasoned salt. That's his very favorite. Every now and then we'll do the hummus powder that I get from Mother Earth Products, and then you're getting a little more protein in there. So obviously there's that. It's a comfort food. It brings joy. Other good reasons to store popcorn is that it's, as far as the corn goes, it's one of those that's going to store for an extra long time. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about, they think of popcorn as just being popping corn, but you can grind it up for a meal or flour and use it to make cornbread. If you ground it coarse enough, you could use it as polenta/grits. So it's multi-purpose, and you can use that cornmeal for all kinds of stuff. And so the only other dry corn that I store, besides the glass jam popcorn that I grow, I don't use that for a popping corn because it's really small, but it's really great for grinding up to make a cornmeal. And it's not sweet, so it's good for a hillbilly cornbread. But the only other one I store is just a dent corn, and it has to be white, and that especially for the hillbilly cornbread that I make, because it's got to be white. Otherwise, it's Johnny cake, especially if you add sugar. Okay? So multi-purpose, great storage. You don't have to use oxygen absorbers, which I never do anyway, but especially with popcorn. Do you think they had oxygen absorbers back, thousands of years ago when they were storing the corn? No. They didn't even vacuum seal. Well, maybe they had a way of sealing stuff that was close to vacuum sealing. I mean, most of it is you just want to keep it dry. Just store it in a bucket. Just keep it somewhere where it's going to stay dry. That's the main thing. Just keep it dry. And you're good. That's what I love about popcorn. Oh, one more thing about it is the one corn you can be pretty guaranteed is not going to be genetically modified. It can't even get crossed, at least at this point, with other genetically modified corn crops. So a lot of the issues we're seeing, like I was talking about beet sugar and soy, and I think cotton probably does the same thing, and corn, because the genetically modified crops will contaminate the organic non-GMO crops. And so seed that comes off of those end up being genetically modified, unfortunately. But you don't have to worry about that with popcorn. So the next on the list, actually, I'll go ahead and talk about the other grain that was in the picture, and that was oats. I always forget oats. Now, some people will store oat groats because, like wheat berries, they may store better. The only reason I would have oat groats is for my chickens, which they didn't like them. They're too pokey. They don't like the oat groats. They won't eat them. My chickens won't. I mean, I think if that was all there was, maybe, but I wouldn't buy them anymore. They kind of got spoiled on rolled oats because that's what I always have on hand. And, they could also be good for grinding into flour, but I just like oats, rolled oats, because of their multi-purpose. So, I mean, obviously you can make oatmeal out of them, and then you can take that oatmeal and you can flavor it up however you want. And it's not that I make, Patrick, a lot of oatmeal, but when I do, I try to make it a little bit different each time. Like maybe I'll put some pumpkin powder in there with some little bit of cinnamon and a pinch of clove powder, maybe a little bit of nutmeg. So it's like a pumpkin spice oatmeal. Or I'll do something similar with the apple powder. Again, pumpkins from our own garden, apples from our own tree that I've dried and then powdered up. And I'll put the apple powder in there and then add just cinnamon. I don't add the other spices typically when I'm doing that. But yeah, you can take the oatmeal. It doesn't always just have to be oatmeal. You can spice it up however you want. You can add raisins to it or cranberries. Sometimes I'll throw in seeds like chia seeds and flax seeds and then cook them in there. I mean, just so much you can do with it. I was thinking pecan bits. Yes. So what else do I have in? Homemade granola. And my favorite one to make is also the easiest one to make because it's only 3 ingredients. It's oats, peanut butter, and honey. That's it. Patrick doesn't like much granola, but he does like the peanut butter granola. That's his favorite as well. Other things you can do for the granola, it's actually quite simple. I have like 3 different videos on my main channel that go way back. First, the peanut butter granola, and then I did a banana coconut almond granola. And then another really easy one is instead of using honey, use some homemade jam. And then like if you have like a raspberry jam or apple butter or something like that, use that in place of the honey. You're getting that sweetness and you're getting a different flavor out of it. So you can make it taste however you want as long as you get your ratios right. I'm gonna have to go back and look because I haven't made granola in a while. But I keep saying I'm going to make some peanut butter granola here soon. But I use the same ratio if I'm going to do the jam, the same ratio of jam as I would honey. I just do a straight across trade. And you could also make granola bars. I haven't done a video on that because I haven't made granola bars in forever. And I just kind of made the recipe up as I went. So I don't even know if I saved it, wrote it down. I just made it up. They didn't hold together super good, but they were still tasty. So it would need improving. I also like, in lieu of breadcrumbs, when I'm making meatloaf, meatballs, or hamburger patties, I like to throw oats in there. I just throw them oats in there and mix them in. And that way you're getting the goodness of the oats as well. Oats are good for cookies. And yes, that was obviously one of the things on here, your cookies, your crisps, like a fruit crisp. I always use oats when I'm making a fruit crisp of some kind. And then you can also, just like you would with the oat groats, the whole oats, you can still take oats and powder them up into a flour. I've done that before and use it as oat flour. And for those who can't have dairy products and like oat milk, you can make your own oat milk with the oats. It's great. I tried it once. I wasn't crazy about it. I prefer, if I'm going to have a dairy, which I don't need to be dairy free, but every now and then, I love milk products, but I don't like to drink milk. If I'm going to drink milk, I do prefer the taste of certain nut milk, such as Brazil nut milk. Cashew pecan is one of my favorites, or even Brazil nut with hazelnut mixed together. And then you got your homemade almond milk and so on. Love making my own almond milk. And that's the thing too, is that it's so, not only is it easy, you can get creative and it doesn't have to just be almond milk. You can make coconut milk. And like I said, the pecan cashew is one of my favorite. Cashew milk by itself is okay, but it's very, very fatty. Doesn't strain out as well. So I usually like to mix it with something else. And I find the perfect combination is pecans and the cashews. And then you can take the pulp and you can turn it into something else. You can add it to muffins and so on and so forth. It's great. You get it all used, or you can dehydrate the pulp and then powder it better. And then now you got a flour for those who need to be gluten-free. Oh, thanks, Deb. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that recipe. I came up with that. I just made it up on the fly a couple of years back. Well, maybe about 3 years ago. Butterscotch apple oatmeal bars. But that was one of those that you had to get the butterscotch chips that are not organic. I tried to find some, and Azure Standard stopped carrying the Lily's brand, and I haven't even tried their brand. They stopped carrying them because when they found out that Lily's got bought, excuse me, I don't know why I'm stuttering so badly today. Lily's got bought out by one of the big corporations like Hershey's or something like that. So as such, Azure Standard stopped selling their products. Now, the third item that I don't think I've talked about much in like food storage videos, but I've talked about plenty enough, and that is storing cacao or cocoa powder. Now, people are probably going to be wondering, what's the difference between cacao and cocoa? The only difference is that cacao means it is raw. But once you cook with it, it's no longer in its raw stage. But if you would, like to keep a raw organic cocoa powder on hand, then you buy it as cacao. That's the only difference in the two words. Cocoa just means it was heated during processing. But you can get, organic cacao powder, and then it's got, again, multi-uses, and it's good for you. Of course, a lot of the stuff you use it to turn into isn't always the best thing, but it's some of those things that can still, again, add joy to your food storage. So the obvious, sweet treat things like making homemade chocolate syrup, got a video on that. Homemade chocolate pie, got a video on that. If you like to make sweetbreads like banana bread or something, I don't think I have a video on this, but I've taken banana bread and added cocoa to it. And so it was like a chocolate banana bread. And you could do the same thing with pancakes. And then cocoa is like the number one, or cacao, the number one ingredient in my jet fueled latte. So I've got the cacao, the ashwagandha, the maca, and then my spices that I add in there. I think those are the four main things. And then the spices have a bunch of stuff, including some cayenne, some dried orange peel all powdered up. And yes, by the way, if you do try it, if you go find that recipe on the jet fueled latte, but if you make it and you're drinking it and you're like, is there supposed to be sludge at the bottom? Yeah, it can kind of wants to just sort of settle to the bottom. So I usually try to keep mixing it up as I'm drinking it. And I'll still have stuff left at the bottom, and I'll just drink that down because that's all those good healthy powders in there, because cacao has a lot of great benefits. In fact, I have a video, the health benefits of chocolate. I just called it health benefits of chocolate because, well, yeah. But then, of course, you can make your own homemade chocolates, which I have a whole series on that. And I do that every so often. And then you can make your own hot chocolate milk. Well, if you make the chocolate syrup, Patrick usually, when he gets down to the bottom of a jar of chocolate syrup, he'll just add milk to the jar because he's a canning jar. Put a lid on and shake it up really good. Now he's got chocolate milk. I mentioned the breads, pancakes, muffins, mochas, add it to your coffee to make a mocha. So it's got a lot of health benefits, but it also has a lot of ways to add joy and interest to your pantry, and also to just help prevent food fatigue. It doesn't mean you have to eat chocolate every single day, obviously, or all day long. Not a good idea. Just sit around, make yourself a whole bunch of chocolate syrup and just sit around and cook all day long. There you go. That'll be really, really healthy. I will say, your homemade chocolate syrup using organic cacao, organic milk, organic butter, because I do put butter in it, your own homemade vanilla from organic vanilla beans, and organic cane sugar or honey. You can make it a lot healthier and a lot tastier than anything you can buy in the store. Tip, 2 chocolate flavor enhancers are coffee and cayenne pepper, just a pinch. I really like cayenne pepper in, like, if I'm, let's just say, I don't drink a lot of hot chocolate. It's kind of rare, but I do like adding a little bit of cayenne pepper to that. Man, that's good. Oh, by the way, in my personal opinion, if white chocolate is made the way it's supposed to be made, it's chocolate. People will say, no, it's not chocolate because it's white. But it's still made from the cacao butter, which comes from the cacao bean. It may not have the cacao powder in it, but it still comes from the cacao bean. So in my personal opinion, it's still chocolate. So I like being able to do both, because a lot of times when I'm making those chocolates, like one of the first ones I invented like this was peppermint patty chocolate. So the bottom layer is just white chocolate, which you're basically replacing the cacao with powdered milk. And then I put a little bit of peppermint oil in there. And then I pour that into my pie sheet or my pie pan, let that set in the freezer. And while that's setting up, I make the chocolate part, the brown chocolate part on the top. And then I do it pretty much the same way, except for it's got the cacao powder in it. Both have cocoa butter. If I have cocoa butter, it's for making chocolate. That's it. But the cocoa powder is the most important part because of it has, in my personal opinion, many more uses than just the cocoa butter alone. I think I covered all the chocolate related stuff and reasons why I stock up on these things. You're going to come say hi to everybody? Tyler's in here. You just wave and leave if you want. People miss you, believe it or not, because you're hardly ever, he's so busy, he never has time for making videos.
Hello, everybody.
Here's Patrick.
Hi.
He is still alive.
I do still exist.
Yeah, he's still around. I haven't booted him out yet.
How's everybody doing?
Anyway, I'm going to go. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thanks for coming in. Good to see you all here. And take care. And God bless. Bye. Bye.